Hello, and thank you for joining me on the House of Ìyámi Àjé channel. I am Bookie. I'm a psychic, a seer, a medium. I am a transformational spiritual life coach, a sacred medicine practitioner, an educator on decolonizing mind, body, and spirit. And I'm an intuitive artist. There are links in the bio of this reading description to my website, houseofiyamiaje.com, as well as information on leaving donations in reciprocity for the reading. If you appreciate it and resonate with it, I'd also love you to subscribe and to hit the like button, and perhaps join the newsletter and inquire into obtaining a more specified personal reading, because the one I will be guiding us through today is a collective message. I'm going to start off really quickly by cleansing the space and sharing a little bit about how I read. So I have meditated on the cards, I've cleansed them. Many of them have been sitting under crystals, and I normally will start with 3 oracle cards to ascertain the theme or the message, the theme of the message that the Iyas, the Ìyámi, who are our ancestral cosmic mothers, want to give to us, as well as connecting with the ancestors and my spirit guide specifically, to channel what it is that they would like to share with us today. So, just give me a couple of moments. Okay, so we are going to start off with the animal spirit, the wild unknown animal spirit deck, to ascertain our theme. And I like to pull 3 to 4 cards to start off with to get a general sort of message and theme on the mood. Beloved Iyas, ancestors, guides, and spirits, please share with me a message that the collective need to receive. What do the collective need to know? What messages need to be shared today? Thank you for your wisdom and guidance. Okay, first card. Ooh, yes, one flipped over. Brilliant. Is there any additional messages? Any additional messages, Spirit, Angels? Yes, guides. Oh, wow, yes. Wow. Brilliant cards. I can tell already this is a highly spiritual, highly potent message that wants to come out for one, too many of you today. So we have at the bottom of the deck, we have dolphin. And I'll speak to dolphin in a moment. But our 4 main overarching cards are swan, hummingbird, Apologies for the light. Okay. Sea serpent. And elk. Wow, really, really, really beautiful cards here. So, it's quite a potent energy that's coming through. It's beautiful. It's a really beautiful invigorating, warm and joyful, heart-opening feeling that's coming through. Sorry, it's quite emotional, actually. I am sensing that someone is really coming into their power. Someone has been going through a process of immense healing and change and is elevating and finding a breakthrough, right? The first card here, which is the Swan, which can speak to many things because these cards often have multiplicity of meaning. But what I'm picking up here, this Swan and mirrored energy can speak to partnerships. It can speak to decision making and options, but it can also speak to the dual aspect of self, right? Our masculine and feminine sides, the polarities of the self, right? Our dual nature, and merging our light with our shadow, our higher self with our ego. And what I'm really receiving, specifically with the way the cards have shown themselves, is that someone has gone from being, the ugly duckling and grown into this beautiful, elegant swan. This person has been doing their shadow work. This person has been working to heal deep wounds. This person has been really detaching from an old identity and an old way of being and stepping into more of their truth and their authenticity. They have been shedding the aspects of their ego that are no longer in alignment with their sense of purpose and their destiny, right? This period of growth and this period of shedding and healing is so that you are stepping into the truth of who it is that you are. I keep getting these really quite sharp sensations in my heart space, which is quite interesting. I feel that you have been going through a period of opening your heart. The reason that I'm feeling quite emotional is because I can tell that this has been very, very tough. I mean, it's quite interesting because, I'm feeling these very sort of, it's a beautiful energy though. It's an energy of coming through a clearing, of reaching the light at the end of a tunnel of what has been a very, very difficult process, a very, very difficult, possibly even few years of battling yourself, battling your demons, battling these former identities, that the matrix, the world that the program, the societal programming, the identities that we are forced to wear, how it is that we are shaped by the world and the life path that we're put on, right? You have been doing a hell of a lot of shadow work. You've been looking at the darker aspects of yourself and bringing them into the light, coming to know the ways in which your lower self, your ego, built defense mechanisms, built these conditioned tendencies. So our defense mechanisms can actually act in a dual way, right? They are formed as protection, as aspects of armor, right? To guard ourselves from, whatever harms or threats that we're kind of coming into contact with in our life. So this could have been all the way from childhood. But the thing about these defense mechanisms is that they then, rather than protecting us, and shielding us, they then sort of tend to get in our way and almost end up sabotaging us. I wouldn't say later and on in life. It really is dependent. It's when we come to a point in our life when we have outgrown them, when our soul is seeking growth and maturation, when we are ready to elevate ourselves, to step into a new way of being. Now, this could be that you have headed into a new pathway in life, a new direction in your vocation. You might have moved recently or changed cities, but something significant has been altered in your course. And part of the reason for this is because you have been through this immense period of change, right? I also am sensing that that dark time, that dark period, that ugly duckling phase, was a phase where you were not supported, not you weren't held in high regard by those around you, is what I just heard. You might have been the odd one out in your circles, in your professional space, in your familial environment, within your community, but you have integrated all of those wounds because you had to harness these really quite significant survival skills. Those have led you to grow immensely, to grow with grace and elegance. Our challenges are what births us, right? Challenge is where we grow. Difficulty, especially if we have the conviction and tenacity that it takes to spend time integrating what it is that we've learned, to glean the medicine, the wisdom from those challenges, to zoom out and take an objective perspective on what it is that we went through whilst, after we've been through it, right? And this pertains to all aspects of our lives. The difficult boss that we had, the unwelcoming or critical colleagues, the difficult family members who didn't have faith in you and uplift you when you actually needed it. All of that really worked to serve you to build a reservoir of strength and resilience. And that is what is shining through now. On the surface, swans are elegant and immensely graceful, but often we don't see the hard work of their pedaling underneath. We just see them gliding with ease on the top of the water, not knowing that actually underneath those feathers, they're probably sweating, because they are working very hard to move with grace. So this is really speaking to the fact that now that you are coming into your own and you have step through this portal that is supporting your elevation and your upward trajectory, folks aren't quite understanding the hard work that you went through, even though they were probably the ones ridiculing you whilst you were going through this challenge, which is quite interesting, this period of challenge. The hummingbird speaks to beauty. It speaks to fast movement and vibrancy. It speaks to high octane energy, but highly spirited energy. Hummingbirds are vessels of spirit. They are pure consciousness. They sip nectar from flowers. They love the sweet things in life, but they are speedy and they are quick. They are as light as a feather, and because of their grace, because of their high octane energy, they're highly spirited beings. So this is speaking to me of you being blessed, you being gifted, you having such a vibrancy and high octane energy that is starting to radiate for and people are starting to see this. But you're also coming into a period of sweetness where life is going to start tasting sweet, where all the hard work, all the seeds that you have sown, all those times that you moved with grace through those challenges, that you didn't retort back, that you didn't sink to the low vibrational levels of those that were ridiculing you or those that dismissed you, those that actually also competed with you for opportunities that were supposed to be yours, you are going to be receiving those from spirit. Let's not forget our Iyas, our guides. They are there right along our path. And sometimes, even in those moments of challenge when we're thinking, you know, where are my guides? Where is the support network? Why am I not being protected to this? You know, our Iyas, the Ìyámi, are known to have hard hands at times. They're known as to utilize that tough love, but I don't even like that saying, because I like to see the middle ground. You know, you can be tough and you can be soft at the same time, right? Life is one of polarity, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they enforce things on you. What they do is they were there right beside you whilst you were going through these moments of challenge and difficulty. They were there to make sure that they caught you at any point and you did not fall. You always landed on your feet. Why? Because they were imbuing you with their power and their spirit, their strength. The reasons that they allowed you to go through these challenges is to build up your character, to build up that reservoir of resilience that is now radiating. You have soared to new heights, and you are literally shining. This card is like pulsing some really high octane energy through my hand right now, and I am really being told that you're about to step into a period of beauty, of magic, where you're going to start feeling light and like a weight has been lifted. You have worked through all these tests. Perhaps you've been through an initiation of sorts. Perhaps you have been battling to secure something. This might have been, a period of long study, perhaps, or a retraining, or the early stages of motherhood where, your whole life has had to change and your whole identity with it. But you are coming into a period, whatever this is, you are coming into a period where you are going to be feeling lighter, where you are going to be radiating, where all the medicine that you have gleaned from that period of challenge is really starting to shine through and supporting you in this elevation. And you are elevating because you haven't bypassed anything. We do not elevate unless we have done the work of integrating the medicine. We don't get to ascend or elevate until we have done the work of passing tests, until we have risen through the spiritual ranks. Spirit doesn't allow us to cut corners, my friends. He does not. We or she doesn't. They don't in general. We are tested often to even see if we have, when I say tests, right, they will send the same characters into our lives, the same scenarios, to see whether we have learnt to maintain our boundaries, to see if we will move with grace and maturity rather than being triggered by our ego, to see whether we truly have stepped into that new matured aspect of ourselves, and reward comes for it, right? When we are ready, when we are ripe, when the fruit is ripe for the picking, it is then offered to you. And this is just echoed by this card right here, the sea serpent, which speaks to, I think it's a sacral chakra. I might have to double check. But the sea serpent really also speaks to this higher self, stepping into, it's in this deck, they're a smaller set of cards that basically, the cards speak to are grouped by the 4 elements, and then there's a smaller set that speak to spirit and the elemental, that are sort of more potent cards. So I'm just going to read, because this is a new deck for me, to be fair. Yes, reiterating why it is you are shining brightly and radiating and stepping into this moment of this era, this new iteration of self, this era and time of sweetness and lightness and beauty and abundance, why you are moving with grace and elegance and balanced. This speaks to balancing ourselves, integrating and balancing our masculine and feminine aspects, balancing our shadow side, coming to love those parts of ourselves that, I spoke briefly to shadow work, but I didn't speak to the fact that, shadow work is dual in the fact that it's recognizing our darkness, those aspects of ourselves that we built up, those walls, and why it is that they exist, and to question whether it is they're serving us anymore, those protective mechanisms, but also speaking to those aspects of ourselves that we don't like to look at, again, because they are things that we built to protect our ego, or they're things that we've shunned about ourselves, that we look to others and we sort of praise, their ability to speak well in public, their artistic prowess, whilst not recognizing that actually all of those traits live within ourselves, but we've just been shunning them, perhaps because when we were younger, we didn't get praised, or we got ridiculed even, or we were told that we would never amount to anything in that profession or that line of work, so we should focus on something else. So our shadow harbors light and dark aspects. So it's talking to the sea serpent, is talking to the fact that you have been healing a multitude of wounds, that you have been balancing these aspects of self, these polarities, and really doing the work to step into your maturation. It speaks to the fact that you have integrated those aspects that you were ashamed of. You've come to know why it is that they exist. You've made peace with that side of yourself. I was speaking about the chakra that the sea serpents, the second chakra, which is our sacral, our roots is first, our sacral chakra, which is held deep within the pelvic bowl, and known to support our creativity, our desires, our longings, our goals, and allowing yourself, so perhaps I'm just going to focus on artistic creation. Perhaps, you, because of, familial patterning and social conditioning and, the capitalist matrix that we live within conditioned you to think that you could never make money out of your artistic skills, that it was better to focus on, a more a job that guaranteed a sort of income that would enable you to generate longer term stability, because art and your artistry was seen as too risky. Following that path was seen as too risky at the time. You have allowed yourself to reconcile with that, to play with that, and perhaps even reconnected with those sort of aspects that you denied. It says here that the sacral translates as in her own abode, indicating this chakra is the home of the Divine Mother, or Kundalini itself. So this is really speaking to the fact that you have really been through the fire. You have really done the deep dives that is enabling this, new iteration of self, this maturity, this elegance, this gracefulness that comes to us from having to go through an evolution of self, mind, body, and spirit. This isn't work that just happens overnight. I think why I was getting a little bit emotional is because now that I'm thinking about it, with that heart opening, normally we have to go through a period of, or several dark nights of the soul, which are the shedding of our ego, right? Which I kind of speak to a little bit on the Daughters of Àjé podcast. If you're interested, I'll also leave a link to the podcast, which speaks specifically to Afro-spiritual technologies and spiritual cosmologies, ways of being, the reclamation of that. Whilst I just want to share that this channel is open to all, my work centers the narratives, perspectives of Pan-African folks of the diaspora, Black, Indigenous, and people of color primarily. So yes, the sea serpent is talking about reconciling with the emotional waters of our lives, and she, speaking about that Divine Mother, you are really, you are guided here. That's why I think I said right at the very beginning, I was like, wow, this is so powerful. This is, spirit is on the table. The Iyas are here. And, these two cards, well, all of them are like some of the best cards in the deck, but it's a really beautiful deck anyway. But this is about balancing yourself. Perhaps at one stage in your life you had to step into maturity very, very young, because perhaps you grew up in a single parent household. Perhaps it felt like a battlefield, that there was a lot of unrest and disruption in your childhood, maybe, or in your adult life for whatever reason. And whatever those reasons were, you had to step and allow one side to dominate the other. A lot of the time, specifically also because of social conditioning, because of the patriarchal world that we live within, many of us, male and female, tend to lean more into our masculine side, which is a side of dominance. And unfortunately, when we move too far into one side without tending to the other, it often becomes distorted, and those distortions show up in a multitude of different ways. They can be quite toxic to certain degrees, right? Depending on what our life experiences and our woundings and our traumas were. But toxic in a multitude of ways, meaning, the ways that we look down derogatorily to certain aspects of our own selves or other people, the ways that we embody misogynistic traits without actually even knowing it. We can be misogynists as the female gender too. We might not look at it in ourselves, but we might look down and treat other women with disrespect. And perhaps the reason for that is because we have constantly been treated with disrespect. So we've internalized it, right? And unknowingly, it then comes out in our mistreatment of other women, whereas we unknowingly elevate men. And, or we spend a lot of time, a lot of our early lives might have been gravitating to friendships and communities where we center one gender over the other, and that might have led to distortions, right? Whereas we should have been working to harmonize and bring into balance, because both sides are necessary. This is so interesting that these cards are coming out, because I really have been speaking to this, the latest episode of my podcast, which is called Daughters of Àjé, available on Spotify. Speaks to the divine mother and the matriarch quality coming through. And these two cards here represent the feminine and the masculine, but the highest, iterations of them, as in the spiritual divine feminine and divine masculine, they're counterparts. And the divine mother, being the sea serpent, is represented in a lot of Afro spiritual cosmologies as Mami Wata. It's spelled W-A-T-A, or and the deities such as Mama Imoja, for example, or Oshun, or even Nana Buluku, who is also seen to live in the waters, and actually to be the overarching ancestress that controls and not controls, but guides all the other water deities and spirits. So she is here, and she has been tending to you, and she has been guiding you. She is also an Iya, she has been supporting you in your process of shedding and integrating these new aspects of yourself, giving you the courage to allow your femininity to thrive, to allow yourself to be held by her, to lean into more of your feminine side, which is a more receptive side, to possibly allow things to come to you rather than being assertive and going and getting them. And I say that because when we step into our feminine, we allow for spirits, the feminine side of spirit, the divine mother, to come through to us, to give us and guide us to what is right. It's not to say that we can't trust ourselves, but specifically when we are going through those periods, those deeper periods of healing, aspects of our personality are breaking away, aspects of ourself and our soul, or our ego, I should say, are being shed, and we are retrieving aspects of our soul. And then you have the elk, which is the divine masculine, right? The elk is the embodiment of spirit to a degree, the evolved masculine side, who can be dominant without being overbearing, who rules but not from a power over way, who understands egalitarianism, who understands that power comes not from overexerting yourself and taking up more space than others, but by actually shining back and pulling people up and enabling others, right? Both are father and mother figures, and you don't have to have literal children to, embody this side of ourselves that sort of guides. It happens, Maya Angelou says, once you've healed, go out and heal others. We are automatically guided by our spiritual fathers and mothers to lead others after we've gone through periods of immense challenge, especially if we've succeeded in integrating the wisdom, in elevating ourselves, in doing the hard work, in dying the deaths and coming back and rising like the phoenix and surviving. Why? Because, we have reached a level of maturity and wisdom that others need and require. So they often usher us into positions of leadership in whatever domain that means. And leadership can show up in a multitude of ways. When I say profession, it doesn't necessarily mean, you might be a stay-at-home mum or dad. You might be an entrepreneur that doesn't work, you don't have to be the boss of and leader of a team necessarily. Leadership can come through offering your skills and services to those in need, sharing your voice on perhaps you have a platform, a podcast or a channel, perhaps it's just through your social media, perhaps it's working, within your immediate community, or perhaps it is answering the call and stepping into some sort of a leadership profession. So the elk is, just reiterating that you have been guided, you have stepped into this new phase of maturation. You've really evolved. You are confident, you are learned. The elk doesn't grow those antlers. Can you imagine them pushing through the skin and coming through? There's a lot, but again, when I think about indigenous cultures and, from a spiritual perspective, spirit supports us in going through moments of challenge, their initiations, their rites of passage to meet the elevated and expanded versions of ourselves. Pain is seen as a portal, a gateway, a door through which sometimes we have to pass to reach this new iteration of self. And if we spend the time integrating whatever challenge that was, that painful challenge, it could have been heartbreak, it could have been heartbreak manifests in a multitude of ways. I don't necessarily mean it in a romantic way is what I was trying to get to, right? We might have been, like I said, ridiculed, let down by others, stabbed in the back, betrayed, or it might have been, something else that happened in the material where our business that we built crumbled, or, we're living in quite crazy tumultuous times. I had a massive sort of ego death in 2020 when my first baby, my business I had to make a big decision to close it down because, COVID came and sort of bulldozed it. So I'm giving an example that these ego death, these times of change, if we look at them through a different lens, and the lens of spirit, we see them as opportunities for soul's growth. As easy as it is to say now, whilst we're going through that challenge and that period of difficulty, we don't often see it as that, right? But these cards are just really sort of speaking to me about evolution of self. And at the bottom of the deck here, remember I kind of showed you the dolphin at the beginning. This just speaks to the reward. Dolphins are highly spirited, highly conscious beings. I mean, we and scientists are actually still learning from them. They are a spirit animal of mine, from childhood. When you were a kid, you had a favorite animal. Mine was always dolphins, but they've guided me throughout my life. Not that one occasion, seen them in real life. But the dolphin is about creativity. It's about leaning into our childlike self, where we saw anything as possible. But it is also about dolphins have fun for the sake of having fun. You've seen the memes of them diving through the sea, and playing with each other and just having fun. They're the only animals that have, I'm sure a lot of other animals do this too. We just, I don't believe things that scientists and researchers say a lot of the time. But they do say that dolphins are the only mammals that have sex for the pleasure of having sex, right? Not just for mating. They don't do it purely to procreate. And they're just highly evolved beings. And dolphins are actually pretty primordial. They've existed for millennia. And they have supersonic senses and are high-level communicators. They are telepathic. But they are beautiful and joyous. I don't think anyone can ever witness the sight of a dolphin without feeling happy and elated and joyful, like something magical just occurred. And that's it. They're highly magical, spirited creatures that elicit, that feeling of high vibrational sort of feeling. So this card is really speaking about stepping into a period of elevation, of joy. It's really reflecting to me, it's at the bottom of the deck, but it's reflecting the hummingbird, a period of time after this, after all your hard work, right? It's time to let your hair down. It's time to allow your creativity to override. It's time to lean into what makes you feel happy, what brings you joy, what are your desires. It also really speaks to your heightened senses. I was going to say that you have expanded. This could be creatively, this could be psychically and consciously. This could be on an emotional level, like you're more of empathic now, or some sort of creativity, because it's speaking to me about the subtle energies that you're able to tap into. I normally pull out clarification cards, but I really felt called to speak to these cards in the way that I did. But I'm just going to see if anything else wants to be said by clarifying. I'd like to cap this at 50 minutes and we're on 42 now. So let's see if Spirit, yes. Love it. Love what's coming through. This is potent and beautiful and wow. It's like, damn. So 6 of Wands. 8 of Wands, Ace of Wands, fire. I am getting, that Kundalini is definitely rising. There is passion, immense passion about to flow into your life. And passion in the sense of this being moving into a period where you feel fulfilled because you're focusing on what brings you joy, what makes your heart sing. Success is coming to you. So 6 of Wands speaks to high achievement. It speaks to victory. It speaks to a time of recognition, whether this is external acclaim that you'll be receiving from others. This could be professionally, this could be within your friendship groups or your community. This could just be also from Spirit, showering you with downloads and sweet dreams and, allowing some of your manifestations to kind of come into being. But whatever the case, you are being acknowledged as succeeding or coming into a time of success. And this time of success will be validated in some way. Spirit's really reiterating that, whether that is in the material, whether that is with an influx of opportunities, whatever those look like, right? Let's not forget this is a collective message, so I'm not going to, and they're being very vague, but you are going to be acknowledged. You are going to be victorious. Just kicked the camera stand, sorry. And yes, this is coming in and will be communicating. The Eight of Wands speaks to me about movement, about fast movement, energetic communication. It's really reiterating this hummingbird energy, right? A high intensity period of time, and high intensity, but in a good way, right? In high energy. And this could speak to travel, fast movement, heading into a new direction, but it can also be communication. And this can be news about offerings, a job, opportunities, downloads from spirit guiding you to this next stage and iteration of your path. Either way, it's good. It is vibrant, it is positive, and it is passionate. Ace of Wands as the final, just like is the icing of the cake. Ace of Wands is a new beginning, a passionate new beginning. There aren't specific cards here that speak to romance and passion in that sense of, romantic passion, but it also could be the case. Or it's a passionate new beginning in a new job offer, stepping higher up the rung somewhere, starting a new project that really takes off. Whatever it is going to bring fire and gusto and joy and fulfillment into your life. The Ace of Wands is, speaks to I'm looking, it doesn't necessarily speak to that, so that's why I kind of paused. But, her third eye is on fire here. So perhaps your intuition and it is stepping into full force, right? And you're allowing that to be your guide, and you're trusting your inner knowing to take you into the direction of something new. So whatever the case, because of all this healing work that you've been through, because of this soul's growth, this, phoenix rising and coming through the other side, just looking graceful and joyous and healed and shiny and beautiful and radiating, you are being blessed with something beautiful that is going to set your soul alight, and it's something new for sure. So Spirit is blessing you, my dear, and I'm really happy you've done the work, you've had the hard knocks, and you haven't let them stop you from getting up. And if Spirit and our Iyas, like anything, that's the point, right? It sounds so cliched, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And we have to remember that Spirit never puts anything in our path which we aren't capable of working through, right? I truly, truly believe that. And neither do our Iyas. And this is just being really affirmed here. And, they're proud of you, and they are ready to shine the spotlight on you, however that looks. You are going to be receiving a lot of acclaim, and it's going to be a kind of fiery hot period. So whether that also means new romance or ignited passion in your current situation, it's going to be hot. And I see at the bottom of the deck that I used to oh my god, my words are going, sorry, I have to stop for lunch. Low blood sugar. Clarify. The deck I used to clarify, at the bottom of it, I'm seeing the King of Pentacles. King of Pentacles is stable. He is successful. He's, worked hard for the money, honey. And basically you're being financially rewarded too. You are entering a new financially or a new stage of financial or material stability, whatever that looks like. So perhaps, a raise, an influx of new clients, or it could be something material, like a home is coming to you, or something that is going to enable you to really feel sort of grounded and stable and blessed. So, wow, champion. Yeah, love it. Champion vibes. We love it. And I'm just like, congratulations, well done. From how I was feeling and these heart, tugs on the left side of my heart here. I know that this hasn't been easy and you've been through it. Trust me, I also know, because this feels like it's echoing a little bit of my trajectory and path too. If you would like to deepen into this, if you'd like more insight, if there are questions that you have or guidance that you are seeking in your process, or someone who would benefit from this sort of guidance, be it channeled messages or life or spiritual coaching. I work with sacred medicines also that really sort of enable us to deepen into more sort of somatic releasing of these wounds and traumas and unlocking ourselves from these patterns. But that is, I'm dependent on location, but I basically guide folks in supporting themselves, but also work one-on-one on location where the work is permissible. That's just a sideline. Now, all the information that you need to get in touch with me is in the description box. I really hope that you have enjoyed this reading and it's brought you some joy or confirmation that you are proud of yourself, and even if this message isn't for you and you're still going through the thick of it right now and you aren't quite seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, this could be a future reading. Let's not forget that time is not linear. Maybe it has come through to you at this specific moment in time as a signal and a nod of encouragement from your guides and your ancestors to not give up, to know that this is waiting for you and that you are going to get there because you are supported, you are guided, and you are loved. All right. I am going to leave it there. Thank you for joining me. Please don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe. And I hope to see you soon for another reading. Bye. Okay, my control doesn't want to work, so I'll have to do it manually.